There we go. All right. Well, good evening and welcome to everybody. And as I said in my different posts to let you know what this week was going to be about, then I will be interviewing Marty Sudgeest, and he is a body weight exercise expert. And so basically, I will let him tell you as far as you've heard me talk before a little bit about what body weight exercise is versus using dumbbells or barbells or bands or anything like that. But you can do so much just with your own body weight. So I am going to let Marty kind of explain that a little bit further, and also let him tell a little bit about his background. I do know that when he really started getting into doing the body weight exercise and looking more into that, researching it, was during COVID, during the pandemic. And he spent an hour. You spent an hour. You spent a year in Africa. And so that's how all of this came about. So with that, I am going to zip for now, and I will turn that over to Marty. If you will just interview, if you will introduce yourself and give your credentials and all that kind of stuff, and then I have some questions for you.
Okay, sounds great. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on the show, Daylene. I appreciate it. Or on the Zoom.
Yes.
Yeah, so my name is Marty Sudgeest. You did get the pronunciation correct. Thank you for that. And yeah, so you said credentials. So I'm self-taught. I was an avid gym goer until COVID and the lockdown. And I can't say I've never been back since, but I don't really go to the gym anymore. So I'm not really opposed to them. But for me, I have fallen in love with body weight exercises.
Right.
And so, yeah, so initially it was COVID lockdown situation. All of a sudden our restaurants, barbershops, all those businesses were closed. So I'm like, oh, well, now what as far as exercising? And I live in Las Vegas, and so we were in the spring in Vegas, and it was nice weather, and so I went straight out to my backyard. So yeah, I have a pool back there, and so I do like to ride bike. I do like to swim, and then when it comes to body weight exercises, there are so many different ones you can do. And as I at that time was Googling things and checking out YouTube for I would type in home workout, workout you can do without weights, or workout without a gym. I was Googling and researching those things, and that's when I kind of discovered this whole amazing world of body weight exercises. And the more I read about it, the more I practiced, the more I realized that you can, really get a great overall body workout. You can hit all the muscles with a combination of various exercises that do not involve, dumbbells, barbells, gym equipment.
Awesome. All right. Well, I have a few questions. Some of them you've already kind of answered as far as, what initially sparked your interest in that. So you already kind of covered that. You being in your early 50s, what benefits have you personally experienced from incorporating the body weight exercises into your fitness routine?
So I have been able to maintain my strength, in some cases build strength. At the age group we're in, we're not really trying to build muscle. Usually we're trying to maintain, and that's pretty much my goal as well. So definitely maintain my strength, and also maintained and improved my flexibility. I have been doing yoga also for a long time, and yoga also improves your flexibility, a lot of stretching involved, as well as strength with some of the movements.
Yes.
But yeah, I've really I really enjoy being outside, and I fortunately I do live in a place where it is, a lot of sun year round, and I can get outside a lot more. But yeah, late 2020, I went to Africa, and I stayed for 11 months, so almost 1 year in Africa. And so then I was also without gyms. Gyms pretty much don't exist in Africa.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
and my time spent there kind of, furthered my belief in not needing a gym, because I looked around I went to Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, and I looked around, and people did everything physically. Few people own cars. Everybody just walked everywhere, and rode bicycles, and they washed they when it's laundry day, they load the clothes up in a basket and they walk down to the river, and then they start beating the clothes with a stick.
Oh, wow.
So everything manual. Yeah. And they don't really have clothes washers, clothes dryers, dishwashers, all these things they just do, physically. And then you look at the people, and they're not really overweight, not many overweight people.
Right.
So that just
That,
kind of that further ingrained in me is like, wow, like gyms are okay, but really we can do a lot of exercise without that. And that includes things like household chores, some of the ones I mentioned, and mowing the lawn and landscaping and things like that. I think Americans we've fallen into a mindset of, um, let's hire a gardener and a maid and somebody to do this and to do that, and then I'll go to the gym. And we kind of, it's like we don't, it's like we disassociate household chores from gym and exercise, when really household chores are exercise.
and you experienced that firsthand over there. You saw that their everyday life was their gym.
Yes, exactly.
They got a workout just by doing daily chores.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing about the gym versus, doing workouts at home is a gym, that takes effort. You have to get a little motivation going. You have to decide to make that effort, make that commitment, change into your gym gear, drive to the gym, what have you. Whereas once you get into that habit of these, home-based workouts, or I do a lot of, go to ride my bike to a nearby park, do stuff at the park. So it's you don't have that commitment of driving to the gym and paying that gym membership and going that going that route.
So it can be more flexible too,
Yes.
a little more convenient. So, as a personal trainer that specializes in helping people in their 50s and beyond, then I often hear concerns about the joint health and mobility. So, in your experience, how do body weight exercises help those?
Okay. So yeah, great question. So yeah, definitely those are big things, mobility and joint health as we age. And arthritis can creep in. It's likely that all four of us here, have arthritis somewhere in our bodies. It's just a thing, and that's me included. I actually have some arthritis in my wrists, so there are certain body weight exercises that I would like to do, but I have to, you know, be a little careful with those, which involve things like things where I'm supporting my body weight on the on the floor with my hands. But back to your question. So joint health and keeping joints flexible. So stretching is very critical for that. And then I feel like with body weight exercises, it's very easy to there's so many variations of those. that we can always take into account. If we have a problem with our knee or a certain joint, we can do a variation of the exercise that gives us, some exercise, some kind of a workout for that joint, maintains their flexibility, but doesn't overdo it, doesn't overburden the joint. I think there's a lot of creativity we can use when it comes to body weight exercises.
Absolutely. And that actually was one of my other questions. So you already covered that. That was perfect because I
Thanks.
do know that a lot of times people do have certain limitations. And of course, the older that we get, then it is hard. And so we have to be able to make those modifications, and that's awesome. Oh, let's see. So I know we're just talking general and without actually being able to demonstrate anything. I think most people can kind of understand when you say something, but do you have specific exercises that you like to do, especially to help with that joint pain, mobility, just overall strength, core strength, balance, all that kind of stuff? Because those are things that as we age, those come into play.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so let's okay, you said core, let's talk about that for a minute. So typically we think about, building muscle in our arms and our legs. People think about getting that beach body and the biceps and things like that. We don't think so much about the core. However, that's probably our number one area that we should think about when it comes to strength. It is very important to maintain a strong core because that will come into play in a lot of ways. And medical professionals, that they'll tell you a lot. They'll often tell you if you have back issues and back pain, a lot of that is related to the core and not having a strong enough core. And so when it comes to core, there's a lot of core exercises you can do, everything from the basic sit up to leg raises. Just if you want to work your core, just start by laying on your back, and then you can do sit ups, crunches, you can do leg raises, you can do like a flutter kick, a lot of different variations.
Yeah. And that's one thing that there again is someone who works with people that are generally 50s and older. If you have your core balance, then or your core strength, that's going to help with your balance too. So even if you start
Yes.
to fall, then your core, if it's strong enough, is going to be able to keep you from falling and getting injured. So I agree. I think the core in a lot of cases is very overlooked. So
Yes, for sure.
um and then just finally, I'm kind of looking at the time. I had a couple of others, but I think you've actually already kind of hit everything. So that's awesome.
Okay.
We're on the same wavelength, I guess.
Right.
So as a personal trainer who does also, especially for some of my older clients, I recommend the body weight exercises. What is there a key piece of advice that you'd give to someone that's looking to just start to improve their fitness and wants to start with body weight exercise?
uh okay, well, uh, I guess key advice, regardless of its body weight or whatever, but is, the person really needs to decide, okay, I really want this. I really want to make a positive change in my life as far as my own health and fitness goes. So the mindset is really key. Closely related to that is habits. So setting some type of a program, depending on a person's schedule, but maybe every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. for 45 minutes, they can commit to doing their exercise. That type of, habit and regularity, I think, is very important. So, and then I threw out 45 minutes. That's a pretty good amount of time. In 45 minutes, you can cover quite a few exercises and hit, every area of the body if you want, or if you want to, target, certain areas on certain days, you can go that route as well.
Right. Yeah. And I agree. Consistency with anything, but especially with your health is key, I think. And you need to make that commitment to yourself and your future. Because if you don't do those things now, and I've said this before, you're going to pay for it one way or another. You'll either pay for it in 1 to 2% of your entire day to do some exercise, or you'll pay for it financially with medical bills and medicines and stuff like that. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Mandy asked a question in the chat. I don't know if you can see that or not, but she says, for those 65 and plus with limited mobility, what would you suggest for core exercise when they can't lie on the ground? That's a great question.
Okay, that is a good one. Chair exercises. There's a whole bunch of exercises you can do with a chair, or using a chair, or sitting in a chair as the starting position. So for core, start by sitting in a chair, then scoot your butt toward the front edge of the chair, and then hold on to the chair, the two sides of the chair, and then do let's call them knee raises, raising your knees toward your head. So it's a version of a leg raise, but you're starting from a chair, so you don't have to get on the ground and start from there. That's one. You could also lie on, let's say, your bed, or if you have maybe a bench you could lie on, where your legs are extended out past the bed. And now you can do leg raises, you can do flutter kicks, things like that. While you're laying on the bed, your legs are extended off. How about those two? Did they make sense? Is that clear?
Shaking your head, yes.
Yes.
So.
Okay. All right. I'll put my glasses on to see better here. Okay, cool.
Great. So I am going to open it up. You can either put a question in the chat and we'll get that, or you can just raise your hand and unmute yourself and ask the question that way. Any questions or comments or anything like that? No? Okay. Well, Marty did do a really good job about explaining. He had kind of a short time. I try to keep these a little bit short, but a lot of really good information in this short time. So I do really appreciate your time and expertise on this, and hopefully that will give some people a place to start. And if you have any kind of questions, as always, then you can contact me and I can kind of fill in the blanks if you need to. And if you want more information from Marty, then I can send you his information as well through Facebook, and you guys can communicate that way as well. So Marty, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here and taking time out of your evening to join us.
Yeah, you are very welcome. It's so important as we age to not let exercise fall by the wayside. And I'm glad that Mandy asked the question about, hey, what if I can't start on the ground? Because yeah, we're all in different situations, different abilities, and I think regardless of what your limitation is, the creativity, the endless variations of exercises, bodyweight exercises, do allow us to continue exercising and stay fit as we age.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're very welcome.